Welcome friends to another 40k video. Today we look to Echoes of Eternity by Aaron Dembski Bowden. We look at what happens when the Emperor first meets the Primarch Sanguinius, and what happens when Sanguinius first meets his legion, the Blood Angels. So spoilers for that novel, let's get straight into it. Sanguinius went alone. He would strike a bargain with the Emperor, and he would not compromise on it. The first thing he saw was an Imperial spaceship. He had never seen one before. It was blunt and brutal. Around the ship are the Custodes, his father's guardians. As Sanguinius lands near the ship, he hears for the first time his father. "My son," he says, and with his own mental powers, Sanguinius peers into what the Emperor is saying, peels back the layers of meaning behind the words. When he says "my son," he also finds "my weapon" and the ninth, and more not even Sanguinius can decipher. Sanguinius also feels from his father confidence, impatience, love, caution, approximations of those where words couldn't quite convey the actuality. The Master of Mankind says, "I am the Emperor, and I am your father." And once again Sanguinius saw many layers beneath that one paternal word. Master, Shaper, and Creator were hidden within it. Sanguinius hears the voice of the Emperor is in his own language, and notes his father's voice holds the same dialect and inflection as the angel, and sees the Emperor is pulling that from his mind, or he's making him hear that sound in his mind. The Emperor says he has sought his son for many years. Behind that was the cheering of crowds and the burning of worlds. The Emperor says he will liberate Sanguinius from exile. Since he was found by the tribe of pureblood, who worshipped him, the Primarch-to-be had wanted to know one thing. He asks, "Who am I?" And the Emperor responds with, "You are my son," and more. Meanings and concepts there beneath that. "You are my son" was overlaid by "You are a Primarch, and you are my ninth general, and you are a component of the great work, and you were stolen by my enemy, and most unsettling of all, you may have been changed by them." Sanguinius sees the Emperor is the death of faith, which he confirms he is. Sanguinius knows because he sees some of the future. The Emperor says faith is a weapon the species cannot be trusted to wield. Sanguinius says his people worship him, and he protects them. And Sanguinius then warns the Emperor that the people of his planet will be left in peace, and the Emperor will not threaten it. Sanguinius mentions his wings and asks, "What am I?" The Emperor says, "You are a gamble against the death of hope, my son. You are a roll of the dice at the end of the game. What do you call yourself?" Sanguinius responds with the name the clan he had been worshipped by had given him, the meaning of the pure blood, Sanguinius. The Master of Mankind explains how he was taken. He says Sanguinius will go to the stars and be given a legion to command. Sanguinius says what no other had asked of the Emperor. "What if I refuse?" The Emperor weighed the words, then responded. He says he knows Sanguinius' soul, and how many more lives he can save with his father. Sanguinius then demands an oath that he will leave the pureblood clan in peace. Sanguinius feels his father's calculation, but then the Emperor gives his oath as requested, and then they speak of their future. Sanguinius had fought by the side of Horus for 3 years at this next point in the tale. Their future Primarch had heard many things about the Eaters of the Dead. He knew they had a skill for violence, and they stood at attention despite the storm, and he sees in their faces his own hope, mixed with defiance. He knew their history from the Great Crusade, how they drank blood and ate flesh, for tactical advantage, for survival, and sometimes for pleasure. This had made impacts with other parts of the Imperium. The Divisio Militaris had refused additional armour and munitions for the Eaters of the Dead. The decree had been issued to break them apart to serve in splinter fleets, i.e. they were attached to other legions. but were not a legion in themselves. And this was one reason gathering all the Blood Angels to be together had taken so long. Sanguinius saw sanctions from other legions on them, the sins made against the Imperium. Sanguinius saw them as cannibals and killers, with the faces of angels. He saw his sons broken up, and how expeditionary forces had refused to fight with them, and this had brought their scattered numbers low, leading to desperate recruitment, their souls hollow. They fought for the Imperium, but cared little for it. They reminded him of the people of Balfora. Those people survived, but never thrived. Sanguinius had ruled those people, but really only wanted to protect them. He elevated them through his service to them, and he saw his legions fear. Could they live up to what this winged god would ask of them? Sanguinius thinks of the oaths they would make to him, the glory he would offer. But first, he asks the names of each of his sons. He would remember them. He addresses how others see the Blood Angels to be. He says it is the past, and they will have a chance of stepping back from extinction. He wants to bring them together. There will be one bloodline and a broken legion no longer. He says, only offer allegiance to him when they judge him worthy. He kneels before them, head down, and offers his allegiance and his oath. He says, I will stand with you in glory or die alongside you in shame. I come to you tonight not to enforce my ways upon all of you, but to learn your ways. He can see that his legion had expected chastisement, but not this. He says the legion is ours, not his, and he will answer to them. He will lead them in time, but for now will fight beside them. If they don't want him, he will break his oath to his father and return to Balfora. If they accept his offer, they will learn together what their legion will be and write the story as a united bloodline. He says the Emperor wants this world that they are all on, and their legion will deliver it. He says, my friends, he said to the Revenants, my sons, let us make ready. We have our first war to win. And on that note, I turn things over to you. Like me, do you think that Sanguinius is the most noble of the Primarchers? What did you enjoy about these first two meetings between him, the Emperor, and him and the Blood Angels to be? Comment down below.